My name is Amina Hassan, and I want to tell you my story. I was born in Cairo, Egypt, on March 15, 1995. I lived with my family in the old part of the city. I grew up like any normal Muslim girl. I prayed 5 times a day, wore my hijab, and helped my mother with cooking and cleaning. When I turned 22, my parents found me a good husband named Omar Mahmoud. He was kind and had a good job at a bank. Our wedding was beautiful. All our families came to celebrate on June 10, 2017. I was so happy and excited to start my new life. On our wedding night, I went to our bedroom feeling nervous but happy. Omar came to sit beside me on the bed. He smiled and reached out to hold my hand. Suddenly, something terrible happened. I felt like I was watching someone else take control of my body. My voice became deep and angry like a wild animal. My eyes felt hot, and I had strength I never knew I had. "Stay away from her," the voice coming from my mouth roared. It wasn't my voice at all, I later learned. Omar's face turned white with fear. I threw him across the room without even trying. He scrambled to his feet and ran out, slamming the door behind him. Then everything went black. I woke up alone, confused about why I was still in my wedding dress. Where was Omar? I looked around the room and saw a broken chair and torn curtains. What had happened? I found Omar in the guest room, sitting on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. "Omar, why are you here? Why didn't you sleep in our room?" I asked. He looked up at me with wide, frightened eyes. "You don't remember?" "Remember what?" His voice shook as he told me what happened. "Your voice changed, Amina. It became like a man's voice, angry and violent. Your eyes turned red. You threw me across the room like I weighed nothing." I stared at him in shock. "That's impossible. I would never hurt you." But his face was so serious, so full of fear, that I knew he was telling the truth. For a whole week, Omar slept in the guest room. I begged him to come back to our bedroom, but he was too scared. On the 8th night, he finally agreed to try again. "Maybe it was just wedding nerves," he said. But as soon as he came close to me, it happened again. The same angry voice, the same red-hot feeling in my eyes, the same terrible strength. "I warned you to stay away," the voice screamed through me. This time Omar didn't just leave the room, he left the house and went to his father's place. Omar's father, Mr. Mahmoud, came to talk with my parents the next day. They sat in our living room, their faces worried. "This is not normal," Mr. Mahmoud said. "We think there might be a spiritual problem." My father nodded slowly. "In Islam, we believe everyone has jinn around them. Usually they don't cause trouble, but sometimes they don't want us to get married or be happy." My mother wiped tears from her eyes. "We need to take her to Sheikh Abdullah. He knows about these things." Sheikh Abdullah lived in a small house near the mosque. He was an old man with a long white beard and kind eyes. He made me sit on a prayer mat while he recited verses from the Quran. "The jinn attached to you is very strong," he told my family. "It has been with you for many years. It doesn't want you to have a husband." He gave Omar special prayers to say and told him to stay away from me for 40 days while the jinn left. But when Omar came back after 40 days, the same thing happened again. The moment he touched my hand, the angry voice returned, stronger than before. The next morning, Omar came to our house with papers in his hand. His eyes were red from crying. "I'm sorry, Amina," he said. "I can't live like this. Here are the divorce papers. I will never marry you again, not ever." I felt my heart break into pieces. "Please, Omar. We can find another way." He shook his head. "I'm too scared. What if you hurt me badly next time?" And just like that, my marriage was over. My parents didn't give up. They took me to different sheikhs in Cairo, Alexandria, and even as far as Aswan. Each time they said I was free. Each time, we believed it was over. After 2 years, they found me another husband, Ahmad Rashid, who already had 2 wives. Maybe this time will be different, my mother said hopefully. Everything seemed normal during our small wedding ceremony on August 3, 2019. But on our first night together, when Ahmad came to my room, it happened again. This time was worse. I didn't just throw him across the room, I scratched his face so badly he needed stitches. The next morning, he handed me divorce papers without even speaking to me. My father was heartbroken watching me go through this pain. One day, he was talking to his friend Youssef, a Christian man who lived in Aswan. My daughter can't get married, my father explained. Every time her husband comes near her, something terrible happens. Youssef thought for a moment. My pastor has helped people with problems like this. But she would need to stay at the church for 6 months to learn new prayers and have her mind changed. My father got angry. Never. She will stay Muslim. But months passed, and I couldn't get married. I was 24 years old and felt hopeless. Finally, my parents asked me what I thought. If it means I can have a normal life and get married, I'll try anything, I told them. In January 2020, I traveled to Aswan to stay with Pastor Mikhail at the small church. The church was simple, just white walls, wooden chairs, and a big cross at the front. Pastor Mikhail was a gentle man with gray hair. "We will pray for you every day," he promised, "and you will learn about God's love." For 3 months, I studied the Bible and prayed with the other ladies at the church. I felt peace for the first time in years. Then something strange happened in my heart. "Pastor," I said one day, "I don't want to go back to Islam. I want to follow Jesus." Pastor Mikhail looked worried. "I promised your father you would return home after 6 months. I need to keep my word." And I understood his fears. But he continued teaching me about Jesus, and we prayed even more. After the 6 months ended, I knew I had to go home as promised. When I returned to Cairo, my father immediately started looking for another husband for me. But I couldn't bear the thought of what might happen again. On a quiet morning in September 2020, while my parents were at the market, I packed a small bag and left. I took a bus to Alexandria, a city 200 kilometers away. In Alexandria, I found a small group of Christian women who met in a house. When I told them my story, they welcomed me with open arms. "You can stay with us," said Sister Miriam, an older woman who led the group. "We have other ladies here with stories like yours." When my father discovered I was gone, he was furious and worried. He went straight to Youssef's house in Aswan. "Where is my daughter?" he demanded. Youssef and Pastor Mikhail both swore they didn't know where I was. "We haven't seen her since she left here," Pastor Mikhail said honestly. My father tried calling my phone, but I had changed my number. For months, he searched for me. For 1 whole year, I lived with the Christian sisters in Alexandria. We prayed together every morning and studied the Bible every evening. I felt the peace of God growing stronger in my heart each day. Then I met Daniel Fawzi, a Christian man who worked as a teacher. When I told him my whole story, about the jinn, the failed marriages, everything, he wasn't afraid. "God's love is stronger than any evil spirit," he said. "If God has freed you, then you are truly free." We were married on October 15, 2021, in a small ceremony at the church. Our wedding night was beautiful and peaceful. No angry voices, no red eyes, no violence, just love and joy. 9 months later, our daughter was born. We named her Agape, which means God's love in Greek. It's the kind of love that never gives up, never fails, and accepts everyone just as they are. Today, as I hold little Agape in my arms, I want to tell everyone, Christians and non-Christians all over the world, that God's love can find you anywhere. It doesn't matter what troubles you face or what spirits try to control you. What matters is saying yes when God calls your name. His love is stronger than any evil, and His peace can heal any broken heart. If you are struggling with something that seems impossible to overcome, don't give up hope. Love of God can conquer all troubles.